NFL free agency updates. We're going to do a little quick recap of players that were recently released and are hitting the market now as free agents. Do these players still offer fantasy value? What is the ideal landing spot and what it means for the teams who release them? It was a different story when Kyler Murray was a trade candidate because of all the money attached to him, but Arizona releasing him does clear the way for him to be the most coveted veteran quarterback on the market. Yes, I know your instinct is to ask who on earth would covet Kyler Murray, but this is the same thing we talked about with Russell Wilson when he was cut from the Broncos. Value is value. The Cardinals owe Kyler Murray money, so he can be an incredibly cheap sign right now that costs less than a lot of backup quarterbacks. So yeah, that is highly appealing to any team. It is now up to Kyler Murray to choose the best spot for him. I had Miami pegged as the best landing spot, assuming the Dolphins move on from Tua Tagovailoa, because I would assume that Kyler Murray does not want to compete with anyone, and I thought that he would care more about job security rather than the system. But there is a ton of smoke around Kyler Murray to Minnesota. Great landing spot, no issues there. It's just a little bit less of a guarantee because if he struggles, they could easily just switch back to JJ McCarthy and give that a chance. But Minnesota is a great opportunity because Kevin O'Connell is factually proven to rehabilitate and elevate quarterbacks to their highest level. And you can't ask for better options than Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison for weapons. Now, for Arizona, we have been operating under the assumption that they would have a new quarterback. So this is not new. While Jacoby Brissett did have an excellent year, there wasn't exactly much winning going on outside of our fantasy lineups. Thank you, Jacoby Brissett. Ever grateful for you. But he is on roster, right? So he can either bridge a young quarterback if they draft a rookie, or they can trade him and move on to a new quarterback. I propose Malik Willis in my free agent quarterbacks video because of the Green Bay coaching connections there, and Willis would be the clear starter. Plenty of weapons, so again, a good landing spot and opportunity for him. I think it all depends on what they do with Brissett. If Brissett goes, Willis would likely be in my opinion, as their top target. If Brissett stays, I think we are looking at a rookie quarterback to be bridged, like Ty Simpson or Garrett Nussmeier. Now, Stefon Diggs, I don't think anyone is really surprised by this one. New England was my top landing spot for wide receivers this year because Stefon Diggs, honestly, wasn't going to be a deterrent even if he was on roster for a new wide receiver one. Yes, he was their wide receiver one last year. He actually had the 9th most receptions at receiver in 2025, and it was a 1,000-yard season, but it really wasn't a Stefon Diggs type of season. His snap count was rather pedestrian most of the season, and the Patriots really need to move on to someone who is a younger, clear wide receiver one. Diggs still has tread on the tire, though. Like, let's be honest. Like, he can still play. So he will land somewhere. He played a full season off of an ACL injury, so that is clearly not an issue. But at the end of the day, he is knocking on the door of retirement age, and he's also got off the field issues as well. He will be a risky sign for a contending team needing a piece rather than a wide receiver one. Now for New England, finding a wide receiver one is going to be a little bit tricky. The free agency class does not offer any true wide receiver ones. There's always the trade market, but with DJ Moore just traded, we know the compensation. We know that AJ Brown's asking price would be astronomical. They are looking for significant draft capital there. They cannot just offer up New England cannot just offer up a late first and call it a day, right? So a rookie is likely the best path, but that'll be a little bit tricky because they would have to more than likely trade up to get one of the top 3 prospects or find a day 2 prospect that they love, because the guys, unfortunately, that were slated to be available in the late first kind of flopped at the combine. Aaron Jones is the ripe age of 31 heading into free agency. I do think he has reached the Austin Eckler point of his career where he is no longer a lead back, unfortunately, but you still got an excellent receiving skill set, so you can be utilized and join a team that needs a pass catcher for a committee. I've got 2 very clear landing spots for him. Washington's backs are out of contract with the exception of Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, so they do have to add a 3rd down back, and Jones would be a perfect fit. Also, while I expect Kansas City to sign a younger true lead back or draft a running back, they do need to add depth with players exiting, multiple players exiting, and we know that they love to give work to an aged veteran, so that could work. As for Minnesota, I talked about this in my running back landing spots video. Minnesota is a prime landing spot for a lead back, and I think they grab one in free agency. Jordan Mason has had his moments, but I don't think he is a true 3-down back starter capable of carrying that team, right? So when we're looking at Minnesota, the best route for them is to just go ahead and get an actual true lead back. Kevin O'Connell wants to run a balanced attack, and he does want more of a prototypical back. From all the rumors floating around, it sounds like they're trying to make big additions, as many big additions as possible. So targeting a Kenneth Walker or Travis Etienne makes sense. I would lean more towards Travis Etienne as a fit for them because, again, they still have Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason plus Etienne makes sense. Mason plus Kenneth Walker feels a little bit clunky. Darnell Mooney's release is another one that I speculated on a little while ago, but he is more intriguing than you would think because he had a 1,000-yard season in Chicago, and in his first season in Atlanta, he was just 8 yards short of 1,000 yards. So to me, he's not a random blip. He is a true wide receiver too that has simply been in defunct quarterback situations and poor or questionable coaching situations. I would love to see Darnell Mooney in a competent system with a consistent quarterback. Sadly, there are not a ton of opportunities for that. I really don't see a logical landing spot that offers good fantasy value. Perhaps a team like the Giants would make sense. Wan'Dale Robinson is on the market. Sounds like he is exploring his options. Has some good suitors. They need a deep threat opposite of Malik Neighbors, and Mooney can also play in the slot as well. Even if they do add a rookie receiver, as we kind of do expect them to do at some point in the draft, they need another option. As for what this means for Atlanta, we all know Kevin Stefanski, and I know that I want zero part of a wide receiver 2 in his offense. Stefanski has consistently been one of the highest target shares to tight ends coaches in the league, and he will be deeply in love with Kyle Pitts. So we're talking Drake London as the true wide receiver 1, Kyle Pitts as the second look, and quite frankly, I would not be shocked. I would not put it past Kevin Stefanski to make Kyle Pitts the first look. And then obviously Bijan gets targets. So whoever they add as a wide receiver 2 will naturally be the fourth look in this offense. I don't really care who it is. I'm out. But logically, it should be a small slot receiver. Jonnu Smith has been released, and this release was bound to happen when Arthur Smith was out. Smith is 100% landing spot dependent in terms of fantasy value. He is 30, but he can still be an asset in the right system. But I suspect that we would likely see him be added as the secondary option rather than a heavily featured tight end. There are a couple of places where he would make sense. Perhaps San Francisco targets a tight end in the draft, but just in case they can't get the option that they want, and obviously the timeline with Kittle is an issue, perhaps they go ahead and sign Jonnu Smith to a 1-year insurance policy. Cincinnati is forever a tight end landing spot, and they do tend to like signing veterans. Now for Pittsburgh, I would not expect for them to make any moves at tight end. I'm aware people feel a certain type of way about Pat Freiermuth, but he is still relatively young. He is in contract, and Pittsburgh has bigger things to address than adding another tight end. And they've got Darnell Washington for blocking purposes and occasional catches. Mike McCarthy does not run a ton of tight end or 2 tight end sets. He is very much so an 11 personnel guy, and he is 2 receivers short. So I trust that Pat Freiermuth will be the guy, and they will focus their attention on getting some wide receivers. We already talked about Kirk Cousins' release in the quarterback free agents video. The good thing with Cousins for teams is that he'll be a cheap option since he is literally one of the highest earning quarterbacks ever. Yeah. Nobody scams a bag like Kirk Cousins. Elite work. I'm not mad at him for it. Perhaps he wants to continue scamming, but I think he would rather secure a starting job at this point. The best place to land a secure job, theoretically, is the Jets. He would have no competition. But Minnesota is absolutely bringing in a veteran quarterback. We've heard a lot of smoke around that as well. So if they can't get Kyler, I do think that Cousins would make sense in Minnesota too. Now, what does this mean for Atlanta? It just means that they will bring in a veteran insurance policy. Perhaps they trade for Jacoby Brissett. We have yet to see Michael Penix play a full season, and he's looked pretty shaky, to say the least. I was trying to be kind with my words there, but Kevin Stefanski has no loyalty to him. We haven't seen a ton of loyalty from Kevin Stefanski in general, so they will absolutely be prepared to potentially bench him if things go sideways in season and they need a backup option that can keep the team stable. So I would expect him to bring in a backup quarterback like a Jacoby Brissett type of player. And Geno Smith, I know that Geno Smith hates to see Clint Kubiak coming. He knows he is on his way out. The Raiders and Geno Smith are parting ways, not surprising, but still, I'm sure it's frustrating for him. For us, I talked about this in my free agents video. Geno is unfortunately going to transition to the backup point of his career. How quickly he accepts that fact will determine how quickly he lands somewhere. If he waits, being a bridge quarterback for whoever drafts a day 2 rookie is more than likely the scenario. And for Vegas, this obviously means absolutely nothing because they are drafting Fernando Mendoza. That wraps things up. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can find me across all social media platforms at It's Terra Time, so make sure that you are locked in, tuned in, subscribe, turn on notifications, and all that good stuff. Free agency is about to hit hard, and then we've got the draft, so stick around.